Hi everybody, I'm David Zeiser and I have one great video for you today. We're going to be working at several different locations, and what I want to really be able to show you in this video is really how I try to see when I'm composing my photographs. We're going to be talking about lines, shapes, forms, textures. We're going to be talking about horizon lines. We're going to be talking about vanishing points. We're going to talk about interior and exterior frames. We're going to run the gamut. And the locations we have picked today are really kind of fun to be working in too, so I think you'll get a big kick out of it. I'm not going to be pointing my camera at brides and grooms on this tutorial. We're going to have regular people, models and evening gowns, everything else, so it should be a real kick. As far as setting things up here, I'm just going to set up my my rule of thirds. So right here, if I have quadrant 1, bottom left, quadrant 2, top left, quadrant 3, top right, quadrant 4, bottom right. So those are the quadrants. Where the tic-tac-toe board points intersect, that's nodal point 1, nodal point 2, nodal point 3, and nodal point 4. I'll be referencing that several times in a lot of the photographs we're making here throughout this video, so kind of keep that in mind, maybe make a little note, just keep it close by to you, so you'll have it as a little reference to kind of see what I'm talking about. You'll also find me using a full array of lenses from 8mm all the way up to 200, 300mm lenses, just so I can set up the photograph, frame up the photograph the way I want it to look in my viewfinder. So why don't you join me, let's get out, let's have a good time just learning about composition, learning how to see differently, and I think you'll really, really appreciate it. We're just walking through downtown Tampa here, came across this kind of park area, and just walking out of the garage, I'm first of all seeing some shapes that I think could be cool to kind of work with. So we have Hope against there. We're going to bring some lighting on her. It's going to be a little tricky. But what I'm seeing when I look at this space is I'm seeing a rectangle right there. I'm seeing another rectangle coming off this way. If I move this way over here, I can see yet another rectangle, but since it's receding away from me, it actually becomes a trapezoid. And as I'm looking at these things too, I'm seeing a change of tonalities from brights to less shadowed to a little bit bright. So I think this might really give me a nice background to just really play with shapes in this situation. The challenge in what we're facing here many times in this video is really with the lighting. We are in the worst time of the day, downtown Tampa at 95 degrees, yes, jacket on, everything else, but still it's about this direct light. So a big thing of what I'm doing in this image right here is I'm going to be sure that she's backlit so I can put her face in shadow, then I'm going to bring the light in on her a different way. You've seen this before. It's my Quantum Flash. It's a T5D, but it's never had the anteater snoot on it before. I've taken off the regular reflector, which is back in the grass, and I put on one of these Expo Imaging Rogue Flash Benders, which I kind of like because you can just kind of shape them any which way you want, and it actually is creating a tube of light for me. Now, why a tube of light? Because I only want to put the light exactly where I want it. In this case here, it's going to be exactly on our model Hope's face. So I'm going to hand this off to LaDon. I'm going to let her go ahead and get in position with it, and then we'll go ahead and get some photographs taken. Just let's start just a simple one first, just hands on hips maybe. And always have your body addressing me kind of at a 45 the other way. Yep, there we go. What happened? Go the other way for me. Puts you more in the shade. I get even a teeny bit more for me, Hope. Okay. That's fine. Yep. And then we'll kind of play around here. Go a little closer to the wall for me. All right, I've got Hope. Again, I think you can see we've got just the rectangulars. We got the little zigzag at the bottom here and everything, but we're trying to put her face in shadows. I'm seeing a little light coming across her chest. So Hope, turn this way a little bit more because the sun is kind of now behind her. I got some on her shoulder. I'm not going to worry about that too much. I got LaDon coming in here pretty close because I'm really zooming in here pretty much too. So I can have the light come in here. I can get her pretty close to the subject and really not be in my shot. She's on half power. I'm sitting here right now on ISO 200, my favorite outdoor ISO. I'm at 320th of a second, so I'm cheating the sync here just a bit. And I'm also at f11. Now I'm at f11 because, you know what, I don't want to go much higher than a 320th of a second for this photograph, because remember, what's that doing? When I'm cheating the sync, it's the bottom third of the viewfinder that does not see the flash. So I've got to be sure that I keep Hope then out of this area over here. And if I do want to put her in this area, since the flash is only getting up here, what do I need to do? I may need to turn the camera this way. So, because remember, this side of the viewfinder right here is going to get the flash exposure at this higher than normal sync speed. So let's go ahead and take a couple photographs. I might do it both ways. We'll kind of see what they look like on our video. Okay, LaDon's just going to put the loop lighting pattern on her face. Take that light a little lower. Just testing light on the face again. Okay, we're getting the perfect light on the face, but I got the sun kind of coming across her chest again too. And let me bring your hand just around to your side, Hope. because I really want to see. Let me see your index fingers though, just on your leg, just kind of like I have my, just like that. When she puts her hand in front, we've talked about this in previous tutorials, I see too much of the back of the hand. Okay, so here's our quick test right here. I got her in the bottom right corner of the photograph. LaDon, need to light up a little bit more down around the chin area here. I'm going to zoom back. You got to be sure that it is aimed perfectly on the scene, otherwise you're a dead duck on the whole thing. I just zoom back to full length. I'm just going to kind of walk it around here, see what else I can get here. You know, we have that other, I called it a trapezoid before, the shadow from the other thing. Hope, now let me bring you forward just a bit more, because I'm really going to use, we've talked over this way too for me, over this way, right there, up too far, sorry. Back this way some more. What I'm seeing here are a couple of different things compositionally. We talked about shapes, so I've got my rectangular shape here. I got an ever so subtle shape going that way, and then the other shape, another rectangular shape going on right here. So that being the case, I'm going to frame her up with one of these shapes, and within one of these shapes, hit a pose for me, yep. LaDon, I need you to get that light down here, or back up just a bit so it gives me a little wider view. Okay, good. Coming in close, good. Eyes back to me, looking terrific. Now kind of do something with your hair just for fun. Good, yep. I'm always trying to keep her chin down a little bit. I'm always trying to keep her face in shadow. Nice S curve going in her figure right there. Kicking it up here, maybe just to the knees. And rotate your body even a little bit more for me, up the other way. That's good. Now bring your head back the other way. I'm really fighting the sun, as I said we're going to be doing here. And the minute I turn her head the other way, then I got to put her nose in the sun. And I really don't like, this is pretty ugly right here. So that's not going to work there. So we're really doing pretty good the other way. Let's just do a couple more right here and see what happens. LaDon, let me have, this time, Hope, let me have you come this way, because I'm seeing another shape, another kind of a rectangular shape receding away from me. That's a trapezoidal shape. Hope, you're going to come this way some more. More. Right there, good. Go back into the shade now. What happens? Okay, turn your head back or your body this way, and you're going to bring your head back this way. And LaDon, you're going to get the light on her face right there. How about hands on hips this time? Does that do anything for me? I'm worried I'm going to light up. Actually, that's, come away from that wall just a bit. And LaDon, try to keep it off of the wall. Chin down for me again. Good. That's looking interesting. I just discovered something else as a shadow that LaDon's casting on the other wall there, which could be kind of interesting for us too. So just playing here, what I have now is this lighter area, then we have the darker area, those two things playing against each other, and then we also have Hope's shadow being cast by LaDon's very, very small point light source. Back up just a bit more for me, LaDon, please. Right there, okay, again. I think that's looking cool. Hope this way just an inch, just your feet too, just an inch. Okay, good, good, good. Just playing around with a couple of different crops here, kind of interesting. I actually like the one here where I keep her in the top right-hand corner. Kind of do the hair thing again. When she was doing the hair thing before, putting her hair and her arms up like that, I was really getting light all over this part of her chest and her arms. But now since I have her back in the shadows, I got to keep your head turning this way for me. There you go. LaDon, you're in my shot. They'll go around you. Okay, here we go. Give me the loop lighting pattern. Good. Got a car in that one. Chin up a little bit. I want to see your eyes. I got a little bit of hair in front of the eyes there. That's it. You got it. Okay, good, good, good. Hands back down. We're going to take one more. We're done. Jump in place. Let me get the last shot. Okay, last shot coming up here. Too much traffic. Good, good, good. Again. We're good. All right, lots of traffic here, a little tricky to work with, but I think we got some very, very cool things of Hope. And all we've done was just use the simple shapes of a wall right outside the parking entrance right here. You know, we got the traffic, the trucks, everything else, but looking at the back of the camera here, I think we got some very, very cool shots of Hope. So in the simplest of surrounds too. Before I get taking photographs in front of this art piece right here, I want to show you how when we look at an image or look at a location, sometimes we have to explore that location to see really what position the photographer needs to be to bring out the best of the location. Because when I just shoot this right here, you know, just straight on, it doesn't look like there's much going on. But as I start rotating around it over here, the artwork starts to present itself much more to me right here. I can see we got these nice flat panels and it's looking pretty darn good. As I continue around here even more, you know what, I'm going to back up quite a bit more back here because now I want to overlap each one of these panel pieces with the next piece so I don't see any gaps in between. Let me show you gaps in between right here and not much going on shooting it wide. Now watch what happens when I start closing the gap. Now all I have is the color. I'll zoom in closer on it. Now I got a background starting to happen. But even from this image right here, there is even a more exciting background that we can do. And that's going to be me backing up even more, way back here. I'm going to zoom out quite a bit more here. And now instead of just getting, you know, what I'm seeing all the repeat of all these little checks on these vertical elements right here, but I see all that other stuff in the background. What happens if I make all that stuff in the background disappear? Just rotate to the right just a bit more, a little bit more. And now everything is overlapping. All I see is a gazillion little checks up here. So now when I take a photograph, now all the possibilities really start to present themselves here. As a matter of fact, when I go vertical, I got this possibility right here. Way cool background maybe for our model in front to be standing in front of. Another thing that I'll be talking about in just a bit is, and we'll be showing you in just a bit, is really just including the one little curved portion coming in this side right here. And that kind of leads into those checks. So again, the background builds. We could do the same thing on the back side too, and we'll show you some photographs there as well. But the point I want to make is explore your location, walk around it, see what it looks like at different focal lengths. Check it at wide angle to telephoto. This is one that works really well at telephoto. It works really well when I move around it and I get my overlap just right. Why don't we go ahead, start taking some photographs in front of this piece. I think you'll be amazed at our results. As you can see, we had a pretty colorful piece of urban art here, and I thought, well, this could be kind of cool with Hope in front of it. Again, just kind of playing around. And this I really want to talk about colors, and there's something else we have happening here too. It's the repeating elements of that particular art piece right there. So colors and repeating elements, two other things can really work well in our composition. I'm not trying to strike any fancy poses with our models today or anything. I really want you to just try to get it in your head what to look for when you're looking through your camera here and trying to find something to, you know, to put your subjects in front of. For me, it's not about dragging your subject from here and there and everywhere and say, I hope I can find a spot. It's about walking through a location first and then inviting your subject, your bride and groom, your whoever it happens to be, your model, into that location because you already have a preconceived notion in your own mind what you want to do. In this location right here, we've got a kind of a limited area of color right here, so I'm probably going to be thinking long lens, and I'm using 18-200 because it's very convenient to teach with as well. I'm not going to be making up any large wall portraits. If I was on a commercial shoot and I was going to be doing that, you better believe I'd have the L glass on my camera. But shooting here today, because it's quick and efficient for a training tool, when I say 200mm lens or 150 whatever, you make the own interpretation yourself of which optic you want to use, whether you're shooting Canon, Nikon, whatever along the way. So let's get this photograph quickly so we can get out of the way and hopefully the police don't show up and kick us off property. Okay, Hope, chin down just a little bit more. Okay, we got her in shade. LaDon, go ahead and light her up with the snoot again. We don't necessarily have to keep using this snoot flash, but it really works well just focusing the light right on her face. I'm going to go ahead and just take a quick test. Okay, that's looking good. Okay, good. Let that right hand drop behind you, Hope, just a bit. Okay, good. And I think I'm still kind of fighting the background. The background's a little bit too small for what I want to shoot. How can I fix that? I can crank this guy. I'm at 135mm right now. I'm going to crank it to 200, which means I got to back away some more to really get the same framing on her. But what happens is that background will expand out for me and I won't be fighting the composition or the lack of space behind her. I can also do some different cropping here. I can include this little colorful curved area to the right of her. But do I want to do that, or do I just want to crop it very closely? And because as far as repeat elements, I have the repeat checkers coming down. I have the repeat elements going backwards, looking kind of cool. So let's go ahead and shoot it both ways. And I think just to crop, I don't think I'm going to do full length. I think just half length. So first couple photographs here, I'm including a little curvy thing. Camera right there. We are hoping that the flash is firing. Is it firing? Again, because I'm shooting pretty quickly here. Let me just check it quick. LaDon, you need to come around more towards me. Put more light on her face. Okay, again. LaDon's throwing some light on her face. Okay, here we go. Now another thing I want to be careful about is where those vertical lines are hitting her in the head. And just moving around a little bit. Maybe right here is better for me. I also have to be kind of aware of the recycle time on the flash. LaDon, you need to get that light lower, hit her mouth area some more. I like how the lines are hitting her in the head right now. I'm going to come in here and just crop off those lines now, the curved lines come in, which I kind of liked, and just go with horizontal and vertical repeats here. And I got your hair is just coming in front of your eyes just a bit for me, Hope, and I want to really see into your eyes. Okay, again, better, better, better. Good, good, good. How about that hand on the hip? Chin down, I got your nose in the, there we go. Okay, why don't we just do one on this side too? Go back one more. Okay, good, good, good. Are we firing? Okay, good. Again, just a different location, just playing around with repeat elements and the color of the scene one more time. Kind of fighting our FX4 off-road pickup truck here, but you know, I think we still, in just that quick little shoot, I think we got some neat things happening with that. So anyway, it just shows again one more time how simple the location is and some of the different things we can get in utterly simple locations. What's making it work for us? Repeat of the elements, shapes, and that's kind of cool. That's all we've done. We're just letting our subjects just stand in front of those, and then how we're bringing the light in on her face too. So the colors of the surrounds, the shapes of the surrounds, repeat as the background, and that pinpoint light on her face just brings viewer attention right to her face. So I think we got some neat spots, or some neat photographs in these very unusual, very, very, ordinary spots right outside a parking garage. You know what? I thought we should do something here. We are baking here in this hot pavement in the high noon sun. But what I love is the lines, again, leading up to Hope right here. The vanishing point disappearing behind her. I'm going to put her kind of at the vanishing point or in the direction of the vanishing point and just play around with my super wide angle lens here, see if we can get kind of an interesting photograph. Lighting wise, the model hates it. We're going to bounce the sun right back in her eyeballs and hope they don't melt, we don't burn them out. But with the light coming in from camera right over here, her looking back at me, I'm hoping that will minimize her discomfort. And I'm being serious here. If you guys and girls decide to go out and give this a try, be considerate of the people you're reflecting direct sunlight back into. So I'm going to ask her to close her eyes until we're ready and then back at me. She doesn't have to smile. She can even give me a pained expression because it's probably how she's feeling for this. Head back towards me a little bit. Chin down. And what am I doing? I'm just getting her nose in shadow. Okay, LaDon? Okay, eyes to me. Good, good, good. I'm watching what I got in the background here. Good, good, good. Okay, now I'm really shooting into this side of her nose, so we kind of change things around. So LaDon is actually lighting up the camera side of her nose. I'm going to let you come around this side. And we were getting a little shadow on the back wall, which I didn't mind. You're going to have to really help me out here. Okay, you're going to turn your head this way. No, come back. However you were looking before, there you go. LaDon, light her up. Close your eyes a second. Your light's way, way over here. Yeah, there you go. You have to back up. Down the steps a little bit. Chin down again. Let's get her nose in. Okay, eyes to me. We got cool lighting on her face. I think it's kind of neat, just kind of playing around here. You know what, I'm going to go ahead, change my shutter speed, bring that down a little bit higher here, underexpose a bit. Good, right there. I'm going pretty darn wide. Might even have the reflector in here. Good, good, good. LaDon, back away some. Got you in the shot. Okay, good. I can try to align to some of those vertical lines behind me. They're not really working. Okay, again, a couple more here and we'll get out of here. Chin down again. LaDon, light her up. Good, perfect. Okay, everybody can relax and close eyes. Just a quick thing here, you know, is this how you're going to pose your subjects all the time? Maybe, maybe not. Just be considerate here, but I think we really do have some good composition going on. We have lines, we got angles, we got vanishing points all working in this particular scene right here. I didn't know if we'd have a shot here because we got the sun kind of in front of us, but however things are working right here, I still have his face in shadows, which means I can layer light upon the face so I can have my highlight, my newfound highlight, my added highlight next to the shadow to continue to always have that dimensional lighting on his face. I mean, if I just go ahead and shoot this image this way, LaDon, point your flash away from me. You know, we got a photograph of him. He's actually kind of silhouetted here. If I really went the other way to try to get the correct exposure on him, what happens is exposure is okay on him, but the rest of the shot is really, you know, way overexposed. You might be able to say, well, I can go ahead and fix that in Photoshop, Adobe Camera Raw. Who cares? Forget it. This is so easy to light to really get the sky where we need it to be. I want that sky to go pretty darn dark here. By the way, I'm just playing around with shapes in this scene here, the shape literally being the building in the background. What I like is I like the color. I like the color of the building blue, the color of the sky blue, and we got some cloud structure happening for us too, so we might get kind of a neat photograph. I've switched to my widest of wide angle lenses, the 8-16. I find, I might even show you that when you're using wide angle lenses, you can really get run into some problems. But where I want to be is, I'm going to take my camera up to, let me get it up here again. I'm at f16. I'm going to be at a 320th of a second. I was at f11 earlier, but now I'm f16 because I want that sky to really underexpose. Now what's going to happen when we do that is, well, we're going to put the flash on his face. We're going to have some really strong shadows happening here, but some really dramatic impacting shapes in the background with the building. So I'm going to move around here. I'm in a very unusual position. Leaning that way a little bit. There you go. LaDon, you got it set up? Okay, good. And I might have to have you come in just a little bit more. So I got LaDon coming in here just a little bit more. She's coming in a little bit high. When you look at the image, you can see that we've got pocketed eye sockets. It's kind of interesting. Whenever I'm shooting and I'm on the ground, I have to always remind my assistant to bring that light in even lower because he's looking way down at me. So now with that light coming in lower, turn your head a little bit more, chin down a bit to get the light off of his nose. And tilt your head this way a little, nose this way some more. One more time. I got to remember that I'm going for recycle time here of what? I want my recycle time to be coming in here about once every 3 seconds on full power. But I'm at full power. Why? Because I need the f16 to get my sky really dark. Why don't we do one of them at f11, which will let you go ahead and go back down to half power. And half power is good. I don't dump near as many photons out of the flash. And it saves me a little firepower here too. Okay, one more time. Turn your head a teeny bit more for me. I'm going to come in closer. Turn your head a little bit more. Good. Let's see how that's looking. LaDon, back away a little bit for me, please. I'm actually panning back a little bit more, pick up a little bit more of the surrounds here. And I think it could be kind of a neat executive portrait downtown in some big city someplace. I like the lighting right here. Here's another cool thing is, you might say, Dave, I think your shadow's a little bit too harsh. You know, if I want to control those shadows on the shadow side, I can just turn on my on-camera flash right here. I'm going to dial it down to maybe 1 2/3 stops. Let's take the same photograph again. Turn your head just a teeny bit more. LaDon, I hope it's tracking there. Good. Check it out. And you know, that actually filled it in quite nicely. Here's one other thing too. I noticed that my exposure increased. I mean, looking at it, overexposed. Why is that? It overexposed because when I have this thing turned on, it's going to limit my shutter speed up here to a 250th of a second. That's the native sync speed. I always have to be sure that when I'm outside doing this stuff that I have high speed flash sync enabled so that if my camera's set on a 320th of a second, my flash will not reset it to 250 because it's saying, hey, high speed flash, I can handle it, let me take care of it. I'm always turning this head just slightly past center here for the shot. We got all the blue skies, we got that building in the background kind of cool right there. I think it works. I could come down here and crop even lower, but with this wide angle lens, I really get some distortion. So I'm just going to cropping like right here at the waist, and I think that minimizes my distortion. Another way to minimize distortion with wide angle lenses is really with just by keeping the subject near the center of the viewfinder. One more time, Ben, right here. Let me see how that's looking. Pretty good. And again, I'm going wide again but here's a good example of how I can really distort him here in the shot. Good. And now when you take a look at that photograph, he is getting pretty broad based here at the bottom of the photograph. And believe it or not, there's a way to kind of fix that. You can use the lens correction tool in Lightroom, and actually in a vertical position, you can actually twist it around a little bit, and it'll minimize that bottom part of the photograph, or that bottom part of your subject. And that works particularly well if they're in the foreground of the scene, as Ben is here. I'm looking here at our urban landscape right here. I got this really cool cylindrical building right here. Behind that, I have this really neat building back there, and what I like is I like the TP shape on it, the triangular shapes on it, so it's got shapes happening for me. And then next to that, I got the other building. It's got a couple little zigzags. See the zigzags happening on the corner of the building going up? I think that really adds interest. So when you start thinking about it, I got zigzags, which are diagonal lines. I got the triangles, which are more diagonal lines, and these are contrasting with the cylindrical shape of this building right here. And then you drop down lower, and what do I have? I kind of have this checkerboard of these other shapes right here. Checkerboard here, but then round on the right-hand side. Lots of shapes happening here. Lots of cool things happening in our urban landscape. So I'm thinking we're going to have Hope change into something maybe a little bit brighter, whatever, because this could be pretty standard. If we had her in the black, that would work, I think, but you know what, I want to draw more viewers' attention to her, so why not put her in something really, really bright, like this red topped outfit she's putting on right now. If you look at the blue sky, I got blue sky between the centermost building and the building on the left, and the centermost building and the building on the right. Why don't I move slightly more to my right, and now what I have is this one piece of sky coming in here, but now look at the lines of the center building. Now they're diagonal lines that are leading right to my cylindrical building right on the right-hand side, and that might give me something to play with. So right in this area here, we have just a fabulous amount of shapes that we can really use in our background for our composition. What I want to do here, I'm thinking, okay, do I want to bring flash in? I mean, you've heard me say it a gazillion times, I'm huge with using off-camera flash. But you know what, we're in this bright sun. Maybe I'll just use the sun itself as my light source. Against this background with my wide angle lens, you know, I got the building soaring. I can have her really looking up high. So why don't we let the sun be our main light source here? I've taken one quick test photograph that I think is looking okay. I think I can probably, I'm at a 6/40th of a second. I think I got there by mistake. Let's do 3/20th, just stand there. I just want to see how the sky is going to be framing up for me here. Not framing up necessarily, but how light or dark it's going to be. And I kind of like what I got right here. So exposure-wise, ISO 200 all the time when I'm outdoors. And I'll repeat this, I probably said it in another Kelby training video, but I'm at the lowest ISO I can get to right here, which is 200 on my 7D. And you're thinking, how come only 200? Because I have highlight tone priority turned on. And I'll tell you, in these completely varying super bright conditions, you want highlight tone priority turned on. It is one of the features in the newer cameras from the 40D forward that literally gives you about a 1 1/3 stop latitude on overexposure. Yes, with it turned on, you can be overexposed to 1 1/3 and it'll still save your photograph. Don't ask me how they do that. It's Harry Potter magic in this thing, but pretty cool how it all works. So f11, 320th of a second, is giving me an image when I look at it that is halfway decently exposed. I'm also getting some bonus shapes going on here in the courtyard of the industrial park that we're standing in. So now the next decision I have to make is, okay, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings I can pose her against as a background. Which one do you think would be best? Okay, let's just take a peek. And then I'm going to ask you the question, much like David Copperfield would, okay, where would be the best building to pose her? Okay, I'm thinking probably the black one over here, because it's nondescript. These things have all these other kinds of things going on, textures, whatever you want to call them. They could be kind of get behind her face, be a little distracting. But if I put her in front of this simple black building over here, we have this cool red top, we have her cool profile in that, I think it might work pretty well for her. So let's see what we get. Okay, you're going to kind of head back up again. And you know, do both, yeah, both hands up, because that way, both hands up. Now I could maybe do both hands up, but what happens is I kind of shoot into the armpit, which is not the most flattering way to photograph my bride, I'm such a wedding guy. So I'm going to, exactly what she's done here, drop the elbow down, that solves my problem. The other hand's going up, I think that's working okay. And notice a nose shadow on her face right here. It's dropping across the lip. I'm going to try to create that loop lighting pattern I talked about way back on Kelby training number 3, with just that little loop shadow on her cheeks and on her face. So when we see it, you will see it for sure because I'm using a point light source, the sun. So chin up for me just a little bit. Oh, there it goes right there, a little bit higher, a quarter inch higher. See the loop shadow coming off of her face? That's exactly what I want. This side of the nose is in shadow. I'm actually kind of in the profile view for her right here. I'm coming up pretty close, putting her head against the black background. I'm going to shoot this a couple of different ways, I'm thinking. You know what, I kind of like horizontal. I'm not liking the elbow sticking out the far side, so what happens if that hand just hits the hip? Or right there, what you just did. Okay. Also, I'm going to turn her hand sideways just a teeny bit. Right there. Shoot into the side of the hand. Head back up in the air again, Hope. Turn your nose away from me. Up, right. Come back a fraction. Eyes can stay closed. Hair's blowing. I'm going super wide here. Her against the black building. I'm going lower still. We got all kinds of cool things happening, from the wind blowing to her head position against the black building right where I want it. You see the vertical element right above her ear there. So I want that coming in her head about 1/3. There's that rule of thirds for us one more time with everything else. And Hope, I'm going to ask, is there any way you can open your eyes, or no? Mm-hmm. No? Yes? Yeah. Go ahead. Why don't you do happy one time for me? Happy, eyes open. Good. I think we got it. You don't ask him to do that very long. I think I'm going to use a checkerboard building this time. And even though I'm using the checkerboard building, now I got her faces and shadows, I've got to bring my auxiliary light on into the shot. That auxiliary light can either be a reflecting panel, or the auxiliary light can be my off-camera flash. You know, the thing is, I've got everything hitting here. I'm going to slow down my shutter speed a bit more because I'm not quite getting enough fill coming off of here. I want her body, turn your body this way, because I want it to kind of be in shadow. Okay, Ladon, pops, chin down again, okay, Ladon, light her up. Right there, good. And hang on, this is a perfect example of how people use reflectors wrong too. Let me get a shot. I'm going to come in close here on her face. Ladon, light her up. We got it, and I hope you can see it in this shot. Maybe we'll show a cropped photograph. But with the light coming down from this direction and her above me, what does that do to my lighting? What it does is it throws shadows up across her nose, which is what I call Halloween shadows. I'm using my reflector outdoors here primarily as a key light, not as a reflector fill. I do it half jokingly by taking a reflector always down here, kicking light back up. I don't want light to be kicked up. I want the light to be the key light coming in. And this gets tricky for the assistant but I think, you know what, you can put it over your head and actually see the light on her face. Because she's way up there, you got to get that pretty high. You could, let's see what that does. Catch the light if you can. Okay, you got it pretty good. Okay, chin down for me again. Okay, Ladon, light her up. Right there, there you go. Another thing, whenever you're using wide angle lenses, probably best idea to keep your subject as close to the middle as you can because of the distortion that the lens creates inherently. I'm just kind of playing around with a couple other positions. This position right here has a building in the back growing out of her head. Not very pretty, but if I come over here, in fact, you know what? Looking at this position here, Ladon, light her up. And you're looking back at me. You can come around this way more, Ladon. No, you're fine, Hope. Okay. Okay, right here can be kind of cool. I'm also trying to work my vertical lens, although I'm going to get some distortion, vertical distortion. But if I put her in a corner, I really make her even more long-legged than she already is. So you don't want to do that. I think, again, we got kind of a cool series of photographs. And I guess what I like to say when we're doing something like this is, for me, and again, I'm known as kind of the wedding guy, but I just love playing around with lines, shapes, and forms. Whether it's a bride standing up here, we do the same thing, or a groom, whatever, it doesn't make any difference to me, but it's the subject against the model, against the beautiful surrounds back here, and just playing, if you can get that term in your mind, just playing with all the shapes and all the sizes and all the colors. That's kind of what's fun about composing these images, and that's why I wanted to put this video tutorial together, is because I think if you can get this in your head, I think you too can go out there and really have a great time shooting the next time you're going out there shooting. We're still working the same part of the urban landscape that we were doing those wide-angle lens photographs in of Hope. But now I'm going to come in and let's say do the executive portrait. You know, the Wall Street banker. That's what we're going to be doing here. Think Inc. magazine, think Fortune magazine. Those are the kinds of portraits we're trying to pull off. I've got the checkerboard back here. I think that works. I've now put away the wide-angle lens because, you know what, I would have had to get so close to him to be able to frame up that. He would have gone really strange looking. So I've gone back to telephoto lens, which I can really then just come in here, frame him up on however many of those squares I want, and really make them be really cool compositional elements. Again, kind of just using the shapes, rectangular, not rectangular, but the little square shapes behind him is working cool. But another thing I haven't really talked about, but is I want to create a visual balance whenever we're composing these photographs. If I'm going to put the groom in one part, the wedding side coming out of me. If I'm going to put our guy, put Ben in the right side of the viewfinder, you know, he represents a certain visual mass in the scene. His size, his stature, everything else. It just has a certain visual mass about it. I want to balance his visual mass with another visual mass over here so we got the scene visually balanced. That's the term I'm using because that's what I want you to understand when you're looking at this video. So first of all, Ben, let me have you just kind of, I'm going to have you just go over to the, whatever that thing is there. Just get next to it. Okay, and right about there, well, I see the sign right in front of him, so I'm going to, let me have you come forward a bit. Okay, so we've actually blocked the sign with him standing in front of it. Now just give me an elbow or just a hand right up here. I'm sorry, yeah, lean in on there. Other hand, I'm thinking in the pocket, crossing the legs. Perfect, that's exactly what I want. That's kind of the easiest pose you can put any guy into. Leaning, whatever, and do a little leg cross at the bottom. Usually the outside leg, well, I think that's working good. Now, notice the light on his face. Let me do a quick tight close-up of him here, and you'll see that we got light right here on his nose that I've just done right here. I need to make that disappear. Okay, so Ben, where's our light coming from? Let me turn your head this way, the other way, chin down. Okay, right there. So that's telling me that's got his head in the shadows. Now I got to frame up to that. And I'm thinking I'm going to be, you can keep your eyes closed because I know it's bright out here. So I'm going to be right about this area right here. So let me just go ahead and just evolve into this photograph. I think it's looking kind of cool. We got this one right here. I still got his eyes closed. But now you can see I've got a leading line of this little concrete structure leading up to him. And I've got my squares behind him, Hollywood squares, whatever you want to think about it. But look very, very closely. And right from his shoulder to his elbow, I got all that, you know, all that urban stuff there. I'm going to take the camera's position a little bit lower and make that all go away. How far down do I have to go? I can actually get all the way down here. And now when I take the photograph again, just evolving into it again, I'm kind of liking what I got, but his head's in the shadows. Next thing we need to do is add the lighting. LaDon, jump on in with your, you know what, let's do the reflector first. Now some people can really take the reflector. Hope was doing great with it. Just point it at, okay, now looking back at me. And he's squinting like crazy. Some people don't have a very high tolerance at all for this panel, so get it off of them, go to a plan B, and my plan B is going to be the strobe because it's just going to be that instant of exposure. Another thing that should be helping Ben too, when we were in some of our brighter areas of the video, he was squinting because of this very bright, almost white concrete we got around. We've got the grass lawn in front of him here, and you know what, that's a lot darker tonal value wise, and I think he can tolerate that a bit more. So not a bad spot to do our, you know, our executive portrait. So low enough camera position. LaDon, let's go ahead, just do a quick test. I'm thinking everything should be pretty much about the same. I'm 250 f11, 200 ISO. Let's put his face back in shadow, turn your head a fraction, chin down a bit, eyes back to me. I'm going to frame his head up. If you look very, very closely, I'll do a test at the same time. Okay, we got him lighting up there pretty good. There's a little window pane behind his head. I'm actually putting his head within that window pane. This is something that, I'll tell you, it's coming out and every time we're shooting here today. It's what I would call an interior frame. As a matter of fact, all these boxes between his head, the Hollywood squares between his head, are what we call interior frames. So we have the exterior frame of the viewfinder right here, but then all those boxes are frames within this frame right here. So I've talked a gazillion times before. I'm going to put little tic-tac-toe boards both on my screen right here in my mind, metaphorically speaking, and the interior frames I'm going to do the same thing for. So in my mind's eye, I'm going to imagine a tic-tac-toe board on that little Hollywood square back there, and I'm going to position his head on one of those nodal points where they cross, where the lines cross. Bottom right or bottom left down here is nodal point 1, up here's nodal point 2, over here's 3, and down over here's 4. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be bottom left quadrant 1, top left quadrant 2, top right quadrant 3, bottom right quadrant 4, or nodal point 1, 2, 3, 4 as well. Okay, here we go. Here's the shot. Okay, turn your head this way a little bit more. Okay, and back at me. Good. Okay, liking that okay? All right, good, good, good. Let's just try one vertically right here. Still nodal point number 4, if anybody's keeping track. I'll tell you one thing too about this lens that I'm using. It actually has some barrel distortion, which means I can actually see it's kind of coming in like this, sometimes out like that, but it's actually coming in. That's a simple fix with the lens correction feature in Lightroom 3. You can actually just do it on auto mode, find the 18-200 and it'll go pop, put it right back in place, no big deal.